Welcome, everyone. Kenneth Lang back on our Tuesday schedule with a special guest, another Ken. He calls himself Ken. I call myself Kenneth. And I think we did that on purpose because it's getting a little confusing going back and forth. I met Ken Diamond through Lynn Williams. She's based out of Philly area, and I believe, Ken, that is where you are as well.
Yes.
And you're the founder and CEO of Win the View, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. I think um, you kind of, I don't know if you know who Jack Kelly is or not, who does sort of the same sort of thing. That he has a process like that, but he's also a recruiter, and you're kind of in two different spaces as well. So how did you get involved with the idea of Win the View, and how did you come up with the name for it?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Several years ago, I was in sales, capital equipment sales in the digital printing industry.
Mm-hmm.
And the company that I worked for, it was Agfa Corporation, and they were big on sales training. So I remember we had sales training, a hotel in New York City, and they were videotaping us practicing the consultative selling approach and being critiqued. So it was a real good process. It kind of honed your presentation skills, and the process was really good as well. So at the same time, I was called by a recruiter for a position that ended up doubling my income. This was a sales position, so it's just a much better opportunity. So I went through the first interview with my to-be hiring manager, and I did well with him. I was called back for a second, which turned out to be a final interview. I was thinking, what can I do to knock this guy's socks off and get the offer? I really wanted it. So I thought, why don't I go in and present myself like I just practiced in sales training, as I'm the solution for their needs. So it was solution selling. So I put together a tabletop presentation, took it in and asked the gentleman if I could share it. I said, hey, I'm really excited about this opportunity. I put together a summary why I feel like I'm an excellent fit. Would you mind if I shared it with you? So I asked permission. Of course, he said yes. So I methodically went through and I first recapped, the hiring requirements that they're looking for. And then I had 2 or 3 points for each requirement. And then I had a short little action plan and a couple other pages. And it turned out to be a really nice dialogue and a good conversation. And, but I was different. I did something different than the other candidates. I was more proactive. And in preparing this, I was pretty confident because I had something that I felt like I could, the leverage. I had a tangible, you can call it a presentation. So I was hired there. I had 5 really good years there. And then I transitioned into my own business and I discovered recruiting. And when we started recruiting, I would use the same approach because I had such a great experience with it myself. So we would start out using PowerPoint and we kind of get it started. And we would say, Ken, think of yourself as the solution. So I would try to get all of my candidates to put together a presentation that they could get printed, spiral bound, clear cover, take it in, use it as a leave behind, or if you're comfortable, use it like I did, sales position I was more comfortable. So anyway, that worked out so well, we decided to make a web application out of it. So when the interview was not available, when the view was, so, when you try to select a company name, it's you're all over the place. And so anyway, we landed on Win the View. So we built this web application and it had a interview presentation builder in it. And it made sense for us to add the star story component, which is really a good way to articulate your accomplishments. It's way that the career experts like yourself, there's different acronyms for it, but it's essentially, the challenge, action, result, or the situation, task, action, result. So we added that piece of it in there as a kind of a builder of accomplishment stories. And then we added an elevator pitch component. And then we added the ability to store your resume. So we were getting successes. I would give it to all of my candidates in my search for the past 10 years. But then we also had career experts using it. We had universities using it. But it was really kind of old. It was 2009 technology. So coincidentally, right before COVID hit, I was researching for a new design and development teams, to completely re-engineer it and add a lot of video. I thought video was the future.
Mhm.
So um, right as COVID hit, I was trying to decide whether to invest and actually go forward with this. And when COVID hit, all my searches just like went dark. So it really seemed like the perfect time to do it. So we pulled the trigger and we spent the next twice as long as we thought, developing the product and the software. And it's just a ton of work. But so we have a brand new site, which we launched the end of last year. And we have great graphics and, we're getting really good feedback with it. So that was the long answer to how did we cut with Win the
So
View.
I'd be curious to know who's joining me from the call today, because I think it's so, I want to thank you guys all for attending, especially um, given all the other places you can go. And, just to let you know, Ken, from from the time that I, mentioned people, I look to see certain people that are out there. And what I'd be curious to know at the same time is if you have any specific questions or challenges about when you're going for interviewing and the like, because this is Ken is almost is an expert, probably more than I am in terms of the things that you need to do. And in a little while, hopefully we will go through some of the parts of the website. Just to let you know, I have Carol McCullough here from New Jersey. Carol is I don't know if you know her. She's from does different networking events, and she's actually she does a group. I believe it's now meeting in person on Saturdays in Short Hills. I have Donald from New Jersey as well, so I have some of my New Jersey folks here too, and I know that certain people are going to be also watching this later on. So I think it's so important to actually think about this from this perspective, because I know one of the challenges that people, when I work with that are in transition and the like, they're not always sure of themselves, whether it comes to interviewing. And I think it is so important um, to really have someone or something to actually work with you on that. I mean, are there specific challenges when you built the product, when you talked about it? Did you find certain common things that were going on, things that people were struggling with, or things that kind of helped you build out the product?
Well, I was surprised that there was nothing out there more than a resume or a LinkedIn profile to showcase the
Hmm.
skills and accomplishments. So I have been a recruiter since 1998, and I just don't see anything more contemporary in terms of presenting oneself. And I think the one of my biggest surprises is the most candidates don't really understand how to express their accomplishment stories. And it's
Hmm.
pretty simple if you just take our format, of the star or a car. So I was a little bit surprised at how few people, kind of knew how to do that in a concise and effective fashion. So
Now, how did you now when you went to you? How did you find Lynn in the first place? Because we met through Lynn, and she does all the great careers and all the bang and the thing. How did you two get together, or how did you know of each other?
I think I knew of the Great Careers group in Philadelphia, and that's actually a perfect venue for our tools. So she had me guest speak, much like we're doing now.
Hmm.
And it's interesting. We had one gentleman who really liked the solution sales concept. I noticed the mention that from Mindy, and he was on the call, and he wanted to give back, so he actually donated X amount of dollars for so many licenses, and that
Hmm.
went back to the Great Careers Group. But yeah, I met Lynn through being asked to speak about the career portfolio tools at that point.
So, if you want to, at this point, do you want to walk through your LinkedIn profile, possibly walk through the tool? Let me just see. Is everyone up for a little bit of a quick demo? Like to get a sense of that first. While we're doing that, you tell me, are you looking to go to your LinkedIn? Do you want to go through your LinkedIn profile first, or what is the best way for us to work through this?
Sure, if I can share my screen, I'll roll right into that page.
Okay, well, again, it's up to you now, and you can put up and just make sure you, all right. So, and this is our technology. We actually tried this for about 10 or 15 minutes before we went on this call just to make sure we would get this right. So we're not experts, but all right, why don't you take it away, Ken? And I'm going to monitor the chat
Okay.
for any questions that may come up.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you can all see Ken's LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to put on my ugly glasses, which I know glare, but it's the only way I can actually see.
So yeah, well, this would be a good way to explain, what my background is, and also
Sure.
how I use the tools, the WinTheView tools, and integrate that into my LinkedIn profile.
Hmm.
Um, Here, as you can see, changing the way career candidates showcase their skills and career wins to get a competitive edge. WinTheView's video and career portfolio software, in case you don't know that yet. And I built my own portfolio, and I put it in right here. So if you click
And
on
that's
my
a good thing.
profile,
Just so you guys know, if you have creator mode, you can do that. You can do a link there and you can link to your profile, which is, and I love the idea of doing this demo so people can actually see how that works. You put that in as a URL, you can rename it and look where it goes. And yeah,
yeah,
this
just
is
click in and you put the website right here,
sure.
hit save,
Absolutely.
and then you're good to go. So then you can
Great.
display your portfolio. And what the portfolio shows more so than WinTheView is the, well, here's mine, right?
Mhm.
A new powerful way to showcase your skills. So as a job candidate, if you're interviewing with Google or Deloitte or whoever, you can put up here, and this is, by the way, this is a URL, this is a specific website, and you can build unique websites for each opportunity and then customize the heading, and
Mhm.
you can customize your messaging here in video, right? So the viewer would then click and listen to. So this could be with a 2-minute limit, your
Mhm.
overview statement. It could be your cover letter, your statement of interest,
Sure.
but it's messaging. And I know video messaging is so much more powerful than text because I've been testing it with LinkedIn Post, and I just
Mhm.
did a video, I don't know, last week, and I had over 1,100 hits on it. So, and the text version of that would probably be at 10% of that. So further down here, what you see in the portfolio, I'm kind of showing you where you can end up, and then I'll show you exactly how you can get there.
Mhm.
And think of this almost as a gym club membership, where when you
Mhm.
go in, you're not going into the basketball court, you're not swimming, you're not doing everything, right? You do certain things. And think of WinTheView's features as the same way. You might not use everything, but you use certain things that you see as being beneficial to you. So here are the career wins, right? So
Mhm.
if I'm interviewing for a client, I can send this URL really at any point through the process, but ideally, as soon as I find out what they're looking for, and my core competencies should match up with what they're looking for. And then my core competencies are how I build my accomplishment stories, right? So,
Mhm.
and here's the title. So the recruiter or the hiring manager or whoever, even if you're networking and you want to do this in an informational interview, you can provide this link. So when that person clicks right there, they can see you talking through your STAR story, situation, task, action, result.
Mhm.
And of course, you want to make it perfect. And I feel like this is not perfect, but it took me, I don't know, 5 or 6 tries. You can
Right.
record it and re-record it until you're happy with what you have. And then you click here, and you can also see the text version.
Mhm.
So you have the ability to put up to 6 accomplishment stories here. And
Mhm.
from a recruiting standpoint, and a career expert can, what the hiring team is looking for, they want to hear the stories. How did you solve problems? How did you increase sales? What did you do specifically? And this STAR technique is a great way to handle that.
Mhm.
So then we have career progression, and yes, it's on your resume, but this is just a nice presentation so the viewer can see where you've been just kind of at a glance.
Mhm.
And then they can click on your resume. And by the way, at the top, you have your LinkedIn profile. So they can hit that right here. Connect with me on LinkedIn. So this is designed to really work in conjunction with LinkedIn, but it'd be a much more custom sort of proposal in video. You're able to communicate in video, which is a lot more powerful. So you have your resume, they can click here. And my thought in developing this was put everything at the fingertips of the hiring manager or the recruiter that they want to see to be able to advance you forward, you being the job seeker. This is an interview presentation builder here. As I mentioned, the sales approach, developing a presentation, going into the interview with that. That's one of our features. And if you've completed it, you can populate that in your career portfolio here. And then further down, you can upload. Here I have examples of presentations that I've done in the past. I have success stories from Win the View users. We have tutorials throughout our site. So I just sprinkled different things in there to show you that you can upload your publications, your sales stack rankings. If you're a PhD, your publications, whatever you want.
And just so you know, like when we did the clickable link from LinkedIn, you can, what Ken is doing, he's linking to his Win the View. You can, in the meantime, also link to anything else that's relevant to you. Like I link on mine to mynetworking.com, which is my website, which is where I list my events. And I know other people also link to maybe an offer that they have. And I know Joey just came out with a book. So Joey, hint, if you want a link, I don't know if you have, put a link to where your launch party is. I mean, it's all about marketing. And what I'd be curious to know from the one question I had thinking about is, if I'm on your site and I'm looking at Win the View, I'm seeing the information there. Is it possible to have two people working together in some way, or is it just me against the site, as opposed to, let's say, two people like working together on something? Or is that kind of out of the scope of what this is?
Are you talking about like a coach working with a job seeker?
Like hypothetically, I'm a coach, and someone's a job seeker, and is something like this a possible training tool, or is it a case of the person puts the information up there and the coach maybe goes and reviews it? I don't know if that's within the scope or if I'm just thinking.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, you can do that. So I do that all the time when I prep my candidates. I schedule an interview prep session with them, and that's where I kind of kick off the tools. And we're on Zoom, and I'll have them activate their account, and then we'll share screens, and we can start working together and collaborate on it. So yes.
I'd love to know, as you're going through this, what some of the people think about it. I know that it's hard for people to see themselves sometimes, and I think video is such an important part of it. And I know when I did my actual LinkedIn cover story, it took me a while to kind of feel comfortable with it.
Sure.
And I'm not a video person, which may seem a little bit strange because I do this every week, but I think it's really good practice. I wonder, would recruiters, I mean, is the real target audience for this? Recruiters? Is it job seekers? Is it coaches? Is it everyone? I mean, I'm really not.
Yeah. So on the screen right now, we work directly with candidates. So candidates can find us, and they've found us in the past by, let's say that they're asked to come back in and give a presentation. Well, they'll Google interview presentation and we'll pop up. So they can find us directly and purchase directly. On the pricing is published on this tab. But then our partners are career advisors, large outplacement firms, universities, career services, MBA programs, alumni, other search firms. We've used it very successfully to differentiate our candidates, and recruiting firms is definitely another. And then hiring companies can be a great vetting tool so that hiring managers, again, whoever gives that to the candidate, whether it's the hiring company requesting it of the candidate or if the candidate's getting it from a coach, just being able to showcase in video and seeing the genuine person. It doesn't have to be an award-winning video performance. It just has to be genuine and have good content, right?
No, I'm curious from a licensing perspective. Lynn's got a group, I've got a group, is that if someone is interested, and pricing is not is it an individual license or is it a group license, and what does that entitle someone to? Because there's all different things that go along. I know with Lynn, you were doing some thing where we were giving out 10 licenses or something, or I wasn't sure,
Yeah, that's when the gentleman had made a donation to her organization, and then she was giving away licenses.
Okay.
In a contest. So let me circle back to the pricing, because I want to show how some of the sort of the guts of it.
Sure.
The last thing I want to show here is in my LinkedIn profile, I embedded the success stories that were built in Win the View within the tab here. Right here's the search firm, build a successful search firm, and then here's founder of Win the View. I talk about Win the View. When I was in sales, I had a specific example. So let me jump into the actual application here.
Sure.
So I'm going to show, here's what one of my candidates did. Her name was Jolene. She had a fantastic experience. She got the job, and she is fine with us showing her her account.
Very, very
so log
important.
in,
Yep.
You have a dashboard. So here you can create your star stories. You can create personal brand statements or elevator pitches or video-based cover or follow-up letters. Store your resume. Here's the career portfolio section, and then the interview presentations. Again, so if you think of a gym, you've got the all the different apparatus that you can choose from. And you kind of figure out what you want to do. What I would suggest doing first, if you do nothing else, is to create accomplishment stories. So when you click in here, these are each individual stories, right? So when you first log in, nothing's going to be here. You're going to see the tutorial, which will show you how to use the tool. But she's put together a number of them here. So she was interviewing for a manufacturing training position. So let's look at this one. She led a transformation. When you click in the icon here, you can navigate, either edit the story, you could download a PDF, you can copy the link to the video that you do, or you can delete it. So let's go in and take a look. So here's Jolene, her headshot. She can preview what it's going to look like in a PDF. She can select the PDF template. Not very much different, but the template choices are more important in the career portfolio and the interview presentation part. So here she clicks into this pencil field and types in, the name of her success story. So the idea is that you want to name it so that the interviewer, hiring team member wants to look, they want to read it. And then further, you just click into this field, and that's where you input your situation, your task, or the challenge. What action did you take, or what were the results? So these fields will be empty when you first come in, and this is where you put in your content. So there's a character limit, so you can't go on and on and on. It's concise. So it's what was the situation like? What was the task? Her task was to transition the national team of training managers, where the adult learners can learn and together it flourish. She did this on her own. I did not help Jolene with this at all. So she was my candidate. She put this together. I just briefly showed her how. She hit confirm. And then when you're in the application here, at the top right, you hit create video. This is the best part about it. And then the teleprompter comes up. So you can position the teleprompter just beneath the webcam, and you hit record, and the text starts to roll up slowly, like a teleprompter that you would expect. So it's 3, 2, 1, and you go. So you can start to sound it out and hear and look at the web camera and then look below a little bit. And then after you do it a few times, it might be noticeable that you're reading a little bit, but it does look natural and genuine if you do it the right way. So when you're done, you click preview, and now you can play. So she put that together. When you do that, it automatically saves. And we do have help tips throughout the entire site. So check your audio and video. Like I have 2 web cameras. I'm going to use my Logitech, and then here how to make a good quality video. We cover everything from lighting to how you dress. So now it's complete. She's completed her video. She likes her preview. It auto saves. So here's her library, right, of accomplishment stories. Now, when you click into the personal brand statement, it looks very similar. So what Jolene did is she created sort of a follow-up that she could send right after her key interviews. And this workflow just slightly different. It's the introduction. It's more of an elevator pitch workflow. Introduction, audience, what value do you bring? How are you unique? And what do you want to see happen? What's your call to action? So once you have,
I just want to interrupt for a second. I'd love for people to post some feedback or just some thoughts about this, just to get a sense, because I don't know how many of you are actually using the star and everything else. But one of the things that I wanted to do today was get a sense from people here. What do you think about doing something? And I'm not selling. None of us are selling. This is not. I mean, we definitely want to share what we've done, but I want to get a sense of what people think about this in a general way. I mean, I've looked at this, and my question would be, as a job seeker, it's a lot of work. I mean, for a lot of people. So I think you have to have a focus as to how you do this. I mean, is that something that someone has to walk through to know? Not so much the technical aspect, but to really sit down and do this work as part of job search.
Yeah. So I start out with the accomplishment stories,
right?
Because you really need to be able to tell a story in a concise fashion during the interview. When you're asked about something, right? You need to be able to communicate it concisely. So that's what just the accomplishment stories help you do. And whether it's star or car or sword, there's a bunch of them, but it's really, here's the situation, here's the challenge I faced, here's what I did creatively, and the results were this, right? So once you're done your accomplishment stories, and you don't have to put, she was like a star student for Winterview. Like if you just did 3 accomplishment stories and put them together, if your really video can't do it, you can then display the text. But the whole video part is, what's nice is you have the ability to practice, right? And do one take after another in the privacy of your office. And once you nail it, it auto saves. So let me continue on. So what can you do then with these videos and all further? So the resumes, really just resume storage, but we store it here because we want to be able to upload it into the career portfolio. So the career portfolio is probably one of the most powerful pieces, right? So Jolene, I showed her briefly how to do this. And if there's nothing in here, again, it's a good amount of work, but a lot of this stuff is really great interview prep, right? And branding tools. So the tutorial is going to show up when you first log in. And then if there's nothing here yet, you just click add new. So then what you're going to be building is this portfolio, right? So think of this as the building block approach. What we're going to end up with is this. So the hiring team is going to hear Jolene's thank you letter. And she says, thank you very much. I really feel it's a good match. I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. And I've put my accomplishment stories in this portfolio for your review in case we didn't cover them during the interview. So then they can click in and see Jolene articulating, less than 2 minutes, each of those stories. And they can also see the text version. So the text version would show up if a video wasn't done. Okay.
So I just want to put this up. Carol said, it's a lot of work, but the thinking process is negotiation prep for showing what you're worth and show me that you are worth the salary you want. So I think that's a very, very great comment there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It really shows your value, and you can leverage it further because you're presenting a really strong case as to why you're a good fit for the position, right?
Sure.
So what's kind of cool too is we have 5 different website designs here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can jump back and forth. So if I want to see this template, it's going to look slightly different. So once you put your content in, then you can select which template you like the best. Most people seem to be favoring number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now the colors. What's really cool is you can customize the color for the company that you're interviewing with. You come up here. Well, first you would Google the hex code, Campbell Soup Red. Google, it comes up, and then you can grab what's called the hex code, which is the exact color that they use in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You paste it in right there, and you hit save, and now you're going to see that. For example, there's another one I have up here. Happens to be my daughter. She interviewed at Ernst & Young, and this is their corporate color. So you can match exactly that color.
Right.
Now, the way that you build this, very easy. It's like a building block approach. So we've got the basic information in. We hit next. We just plug her bio in, which is probably already done in your LinkedIn profile or your resume. You just cut and paste that. So here is where you can customize that heading.
Mm-hmm.
So she put in collaborative leader, but this could be accelerating success or partnering with Deloitte for success. This can be whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click in here and it goes to your branding library, and you select that pitch or that cover letter or follow-up letter, whatever you do, you highlight that, hit confirm, and now that's the one that's going to show up. And the resume goes into your resume library. Most people have one or two. You just select the one you want to populate, and that populates. So that the hiring manager or the hiring team can see that. And then if you've done a presentation, you click in there.
Is this a product that, when someone applies for a job, they're not going to send this whole thing per se, I don't think. But is this like a practice or a prep thing for getting ready for the interviews itself? Because I know you said when the interview. So this is a training tool, I think, probably as much as anything else, right? For the individual.
It really is. We say create your content,
right,
practice it, and then publish it.
Okay.
To differentiate. That was a great segue for our little tagline.
And I didn't even know that we were going to do it. I just figured, why not? Sure.
But let me show you what's really nice is that when you put one portfolio together, this is now my account, and I have a bunch of content in here from different. But here's my portfolio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, once I have one put together, let's say for networking, I don't have any specific opportunities yet.
Right.
I can still put a portfolio together and include my resume, LinkedIn profile,
Mm-hmm.
my accomplishment stories. And then when I have a specific opportunity, all I do is duplicate that portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And now I go in and I change the messaging, right? And I customize this. And I create a different cover letter in my brand statement here. I can select this so that you can customize and have a bunch of URLs for different opportunities. I just have a lot here because
what I'm thinking is it would be great. You could take some of these URLs and put them as content on a post as a way to market yourself, I would think. I don't know. I don't know if you'd be able to from here, but that would be perfect. Like, here's a video thing, whether it's about me or someone else. Is that something?
Yeah. So if you think about it in your resume,
right?
Let's say that I'm going to include this 800K deal in my resume. I just copy the link to the video,
mm-hmm.
and now I can. We don't have a tiny URL yet, but you could just shorten this URL with the free tiny URL tools. And you could populate that right like I did in the LinkedIn profile. Same thing in your resume. So
no, I'm sorry. I thought that would be great because then it goes out to an even wider audience for sure.
Well, it's just so much better to showcase yourself in video because you can really clearly express more information than text on a paper. It's just much more compelling. All right. So let me again remember the gym concept where you don't have to use everything, you can use certain things. So let me show you the interview presentation, which I talked about initially.
Sure.
So, and notice our developers did a great job with the consistent navigation. Once you learn how to use one feature, You kind of get the flow. So this is a PDF. It generates a PDF, and it's essentially a why hire me presentation that you could take into the interview like I did many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nice cover page. So you have your headshot. You have 4 branding terms about yourself. Right? So you can put in, you can just type these in here, these 4 spots, or if you need suggestions, we have a suggestions library in here. So I'm analytical, you populate that in.
Mm-hmm.
So you build a nice looking cover page. We do have an image library throughout the system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in engineering and you like this image right here, you just apply that to the background. Or you can showcase a specific image, which is what I did in this case. I took one from Canon's demo facility in Boca Raton, right off their website, and I put that in the background. So this is the cover page, and this is like specific to a position. And this is something you could share, or you could send the PDF, you could embed it in your portfolio, or you could ask to share it in a Zoom interview.
Or maybe you can put it on the back. Maybe it could some of them could be a background image on LinkedIn too, depending on what the content is as well. Maybe this is a little too wordy, but that other page that you had, I mean, I could envision that being someone's background picture.
Yeah, there's just a ton of ways to do it.
Sure.
It just depends on the creative mind of the person who gets the subscription. So here, that's one look and feel. So this is the key hiring criteria. Like much like in sales, you're finding out what do the clients need. Same thing in job search. What problems are you trying to solve? What are you really looking for? And you type those in here. And how do you get those? Well, you get them off the job description. Ideally, you get them for asking someone like me, the recruiter, who should know the requirements, or you get them, a recruiter, the first person you can speak with in the organization. And we have example questions that are high value questions to ask, to get these things. And you simply type these in. There's a spell check in here. There's a character limit. So it's really the short list of what the company's looking for. Once you have those, now you can address those each. So you hit next, you come up with your top 3 points that you want to make for that particular requirement. So you have up to 7, there's 2 per page. And then we also have different templates. We have magic number being 5. These are different PDF presentation designs, right? So if you click here, you have more images. So once you have your content in, you could change around here and see different, kind of different look and feel. And let me know if there's any questions about this. We've had thousands of success stories with this interview presentation builder as the concept's been out.
Can I stop sharing the screen for now so the two of us can chat, or is there more that you wanted to show?
I think we're good. Let me just go through this.
Okay.
You have additional areas of expertise. You have accomplishments. You have personal success attributes. You have an initial action plan. You have a long-term action plan, then a summary. And once that's
I'm
done,
thinking if people want more information, they can always reach out to you as well. I would think, because I know it's I want to make sure that we cover things. I think the one. Whoops, I'm going to stop sharing now. Yep. So, I mean, the idea today, I wanted to expose the group to it. I'd love for us to talk about if there's a possibility of me getting licenses and maybe be able to work through this with the group in some way, because I think that there's a lot of great stuff here, and I think there's a lot of people out there that could definitely take advantage of a product like this. And from a pricing standpoint, I don't know if you want to share that now, or maybe you want to just reach out to people later on. In terms of the pricing, because people are going to ask that question of me later on.
we're not sharing a screen. Let me go back to screen share.
What I do want to say is, if you have questions, follow up with Ken or myself later on. Because what I'm looking to do is similar to what Lynn did in Philly, is to have the ability to maybe have some of these licenses available to people that are interested. So I think, Ken, you are sharing your screen now. Let me bring that into the stream. Okay.
Yeah, so this is candidate pricing.
Okay.
For our partner pricing is more, buy in bulk, get a better price per. So this is for 1 month, $79, 3 months, $195, and we discount it down.
Right.
If you compare the value of this, I guess I'm putting my sales hat on, forgive me, but if you consider the value of what you're getting here compared to what you spend for resume writing and LinkedIn profile writing, could be anywhere from 500 on up to several thousand, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of value here. And the one thing that's really great, I think, is that we retain all of the work product. So we've had it happen over the years where people have success and great experiences. They come back in 3 years for their next opportunity. So yeah, more than happy to entertain any questions.
Yeah, I wanted to leave some time open for some Q&A.
Sure.
The things that people have. And I know one of the things I've been working on, because Lynn and I kind of had a chat about not the same arrangement as she had, but something similar, because I think what I would like to do is I'd like to set something up with some people here who are willing to try the product out, because I know what I know, but I want people to actually use the product based on, all right. So Joey's question, what's the best way candidates have used WinTheView?
The interview presentation builder has been by far the most powerful, and they use it to prepare, and then it's a very impressive tool to, introducing this PDF file in an interview, either as a leave behind or as a discussion guide. And then the example that I showed, Jolene, actually, the company she interviewed with was W.L. Gore Company. They make Gore-Tex, they make medical devices, they manufacture a lot of stuff. So they actually send the candidates a email right before the critical interview telling them to please prepare in this fashion. And they call it something different than STAR, but it's essentially the same thing. So Jolene's follow-up, I think iced the job for her. So the video communications, the customization, it shows motivation, and you can really use it at any point throughout the process, wherever you're most comfortable.
So how did you come up with the idea for this? Was it, we talked a little bit about it. I have a need, I saw a need for what I do. What about you? What was the impetus for this?
Yeah, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I didn't really see much more than a resume or LinkedIn profile to be able to showcase the skills of a candidate in our search firm. But many years ago, I wanted to do something different, and I just came out of sales training. And I used a presentation, and I thought, what a great way to present myself in the final interview. And I developed a tabletop presentation, went in with that, and
I see a sales aspect of this. I see a sales force going into a training session based on this as a product, as to learning how to sell. In addition to job seekers, job seekers are salespeople too. Don't misunderstand. Yeah. That's one of the things I see, because most people, they need a product like this, for sure. And I think it's a lifetime thing. I know that a lot of job seekers get a little bit edgy with the money and things. And that's why one of the things we're trying to do here is get, I hate to say donations, but I'm looking to get benefactors. We are for My Networking Central. I think that is so important, because it's a win-win for us, because we want people to test the product. We want to know what works, and it'll be a win-win for you too, I would think, as well.
Yeah, so what I would be willing to do for the attendees for today is I would give 1 month free subscription.
Okay, and now is that people watching in replay?
Yeah, we want to promote usage, right? And I think if we get people using it, you do. The only one thing is you have to put your credit card in and then use the code, and then it zeroes out for the first month. Okay. And I have instructions on how to do it, but one free month using all the features. Where people get in, and there's an initial learning curve, but once you get past that and you get a sense of how the system's working, then you're like off and running with it. You can.
So
You can
I
really,
think that is fabulous. Thank you very much. Anyone who's interested, I mean, for 1 month, LinkedIn, you get 1 month free too, and then you have to use it later on. And I don't, I think this is a great tool, and it's good practice. And I would, again, I get no kickback or anything from this. I'm not looking, but I think it's a great thing to do if you can do it for free. And if anyone is interested in doing it and you're not sure where to start, reach out to me or Ken, for sure. But
yeah. I mean, yes, we give it to you for free for 1 month because we are pretty confident you're going to have a good experience and come back. Yes.
yeah.
But we didn't. It's a pretty expensive project to build, so we do need to get some revenue for it.
No, and which is why I said in some cases, like I see this as being a sales, something definitely for a sales team or anything else, or ideally for a group like mine, if we had the ability, and I don't know if we will or not, to have this as part of our toolkit, much as I hate to say the word, but that sort of thing as an additional resource. I know I could see this being a part of my networking central down the road, which I think you kind of looked at it briefly in the beginning. But I look at something like that as a great product down the line. So I want to thank everyone for attending today. Very, very much, Ken. Thank you very much for coming. I get a little bit leery at times. I want to make sure everyone has the link to the StreamYard because sometimes I forget to remind people to attend. But I want to thank you very much. Wish you a great day. And if you're interested, I definitely want to have you back at some point, and maybe we can find out if people from the group what they did it, what you thought about it. Have a great day. Stay safe, and see you next week. Bye.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you, Ken.